Hi again, everybody. Welcome to Inside Golf. I'm Harry Donahue, and welcome to beautiful Lancaster Country Club, a William Flynn design that for the second time in 9 years is preparing to host the 79th edition of the U.S. Women's Open. The 27th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Monco Golf, the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.
Golf is the great equalizer. For many, this journey is an escape from reality, a chance to be part of a team, a career opportunity. PGA Reach impacts lives through golf by lifting people up, giving them hope, and sending them down an alternate path that they never saw coming. With PGA Reach Philadelphia, as in life and in golf, the most important shot you take is the next one.
Hi, Tony Salucci with the Beacon Group of Companies. If your company has between 50 and 500 employees enrolled in your health insurance plan, there's a really good chance we can reduce your costs significantly and increase the benefits employees receive. How do we do it? We put you together with several thousand employers of a similar size across the country so your company can get amazing buying power. Schedule a conversation with one of our employee benefits specialists today at mybeacongroup.com.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues at beautiful Lancaster Country Club, which will be the site of the 79th U.S. Open, Women's Open. Second time that Lancaster has hosted the tournament. And a man that has his hands full right now, a full plate I should say, is Rory Connaughton, Greens Committee Chairman at Lancaster, member of the Executive Committee for a second time, Rory.
That's right.
For the U.S. Women's Open here at Lancaster. What have you learned in 9 years about how to present a U.S. Women's Open?
Well, Harry, one of the things that's incredible about this community is women's sports are huge here. So we don't have to sell the Women's Open as an event. It is the event of the year in central Pennsylvania. And what we really need to do is have an outstanding superintendent, which we have, in Josh Saunders, who you're going to meet. And really, the only big change between this time and last time is we were in July in 2015, and this year it's in May and beginning in June. So we've got some different growing conditions, but we think the community is thrilled. Ticket sales are great. Corporate hospitality is sold out, so we're feeling pretty good about where things are going.
That's amazing. So 9 years since you hosted it for the first time, and you talked about the enthusiasm. That first time around in 2015, you set a record for attendance for the week for a U.S. Women's Open. I think it was 135, 140,000, close to that. And it's still the record. And now you're going to have a chance to exceed it. You're going to set a new record?
Well, you know, I wouldn't promise that we're going to set a new record, but we're very, very optimistic. Like I said, ticket sales are doing really well. And the ticket buying has changed since COVID. People are buying tickets right up until the event with their telephones. That sort of changed things a little bit. So I'm not going to predict any records, but I know that we will have a very strong audience here. We're going to have a lot of people every day.
Well, that's great. The winner that year has become part of the family here at Lancaster Country Club because of her victory. And I'm talking about Chin In-Ji. She was, 8 under par, I think, won over Amy Yang by just one stroke.
That's
so
right.
They went down to the wire between those two. But tell us about how In-Ji has, like I say, adopted. This is like a second club or third club for her, and she is in constant contact, coming back to play, and even set up a foundation.
It's an incredible story. She, after she won, her agent made contact with somebody who's a member of the club, Jody Cagle, and In-Ji wanted to do something nice for the community. So she made a huge donation to a local cancer center that was in the process of being built. From there, she told us that she wanted to continue to do things to impact this community because she had such a good feeling from being here. So that led to the creation of the Inji Chun Lancaster Country Club Educational Foundation. And since that was formed, every year there's about 30 kids who get $15,000 scholarships to go to college or advance them, go trade school or whatever they want to advance their education. So it's caddies, it's employees, and the children of employees are eligible. And NG comes back every year to work on that project, raise money, and every year she makes her own personal commitment to the foundation as well.
And plays a little golf.
And plays a lot of golf.
Plays a lot of golf.
Plays a lot of golf.
So she's got a home field advantage a little bit.
Well, no one in the field is going to know the golf course better than NG Chun. There's no question about that.
You talked about the work of the executive committee. It's a long list, right? In terms of hospitality, logistics, parking, for instance.
Yes.
Things like that that most people, if they're not working at the club or preparing for it, take for granted. I mean, takes a while to take that for granted. You know what I mean?
Well, we've had USGA on site here since 2021, preparing. And
somebody from the USGA
yes.
has been here 3 years before the tournament.
Yes.
Wow.
So we're in two townships. So the USGA representative Brian McGee's been working with the townships, the state, all of the local stakeholders to make sure that everybody in the community is ready for this event.
Right, and it's a well-oiled machine, and the fact that you had a chance to do it already once, I'm sure a lot of the pitfalls that first-time country clubs face, you've already hurdled that.
Well, you know, sometimes clubs run into issues with their memberships and whether they want to host events, and our membership after the first Women's Open, we did a survey, and we had a 98% extremely satisfied.
Really?
Yes.
To get 98% of members to agree to something like that
yes.
is virtually impossible. You know that.
Yeah, I do know that. I know that very well. And anybody that's been a member of any club knows that. But so not only has the community embraced the event, the club has embraced the event, now we sort of see it as part of our DNA.
Let's talk a little bit in a couple minutes here about William Flynn. William Flynn was
yes.
a noted architect. This is one of his early projects, okay? And you know Wayne Morrison, of course, who knows all about William Flynn. And Wayne, a great friend of the show. We have had him on talking about Flynn and his various designs. But he one time said, I think, that among all his early works, this may have been his best. I'm talking about William Flynn. What makes this golf course so attractive to, for instance, the USGA, nearly, 75, almost 100 years after Flynn first stepped onto this property?
Well, coming from Wayne, that's a real compliment because he's seen all the Flynn there is to see. What you have out here is variety. You have lots of interesting short par fours with lots of interesting elevation changes. We've got a good-sized river that runs right through the middle of the course.
The Conestoga River.
Conestoga River. We have some very interesting big holes, big championship holes of the type you would expect to see at an Aronimink or at an Oakmont, and great viewing lines. This is a great spectator golf course, as you can see out here.
I was just going to say.
There's a lot of elevation.
We're standing in the right place.
Yeah, a lot of vantage points to watch golf from and see lots. You can see lots of holes, 5, 6 holes from one vantage point. So, yeah, we're just grateful that they're here.
And you're grateful to have a young superintendent by the name of Josh Saunders.
That's right.
Who is in charge of the grounds here, and we're going to talk to Josh about his preparations, like we went through the list with Rory about what he's doing to get ready. Rory, I'll let you go back to work, huh?
Thank you so much. It's great to be with you, Harry.
It just gets tougher the closer you get, you know that.
That's exactly right.
All right, we'll be back. Josh Saunders will join us. We're going out on the golf course, maybe. That's where he loves to spend his day, getting dirt under the fingernails and getting ready for the 79th Women's U.S. Open. Back in a moment. More from Lancaster Country Club here on Inside Golf.
The Golf Association of Philadelphia. Founded in 1897, GAP is the nation's oldest regional or state golf association. We serve amateur golf in Eastern PA, Southern New Jersey, and all of Delaware. Gap welcomes all golfers, junior or senior, male or female, public or private. Join the Golf Association of Philadelphia today. Our mission is always to preserve, protect, and promote the great game of golf. Before you tee it up, look us up. Visit gapgolf.org to find out more.
Welcome back. Inside Golf continues from Lancaster Country Club. The 79th U.S. Women's Open coming right here for a second time. It was here 2015. And the guy who is in charge of getting everything ready when it comes to course conditions, etc., is Josh Saunders. Josh, thanks for taking time out from your busy prep work, huh?
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Okay. For all you Virginia Tech fans, fellow alum of the Hokies.
Let's go Hokies.
Let's go Hokies. Tell us about your job right now. I mean, we're just literally hours away practically from teeing off.
Right now it's breathing, reminding yourself to breathe a lot. You know, it's we're really starting to get into the crunch of things. As you look around, a lot of moving parts, a lot of
grandstands that weren't here a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, amazing what the USGA has done just in 2 short weeks of being on property. But you know, we're in cruise control right now. We treat our member guests like a major championship. And our member guests would traditionally be 1 week after what the Open will be. So that's kind of how I'm instructing the team. And you know, we have a great staff underneath us, and you know, we're hitting the ground ready to go.
You weren't here in 2015, so this is your first go around in terms of the U.S. Women's Open. But the dates were different then. It was in July, which means in central Pennsylvania, a lot of heat, a lot of humidity, flash thunderstorms et al. This year's event starts in May, ends the first week in June.
Yes, sir.
From a climate, from a weather perspective, much of a change as far as you're concerned?
Oh yeah, 6 weeks is a world of difference in multiple fronts. I mean, everyone in central PA, even to the Philly region, knows our spring weather and how unpredictable it is. And in my 5 years here, each spring has been entirely different. So I've kept a lot of notes to kind of be prepared for what Mother Nature can throw at us. And, you know, but for the big thing is just with cool season grasses, especially our putting surfaces, they need heat. They need consistent heat. They were wide awake in July. You know, I've always been very old school in my philosophies and let the plant do its thing. And then you start kind of kicking it in the rear a little bit to get going and get
rather
speed.
than jump starting it artificially.
Right, exactly.
Let me ask you this. I'm sure you have a lot of contact with the USGA as we get closer to the event. What sort of things are they concerned about? Even though they've been here to Lancaster, they know the property, and obviously they're very comfortable with it.
Yeah, I'm not sensing, you know, a lot of concern just yet. I mean, I think, you know, they're very comfortable with what we produced back in 2015. So their interaction's been over the last couple of years. They've made some site visits and have met with me, and we've walked the course. It's obviously ramped up a lot here over the last month, but you know, now I think they're just more focused on you know, course setup.
Right now we're standing, speaking of setups, on the third hole. A long par 4, and the elevation here, maybe not the highest point in terms of elevation on the property, but it's up there. What do we got down to the fairway across the Conestoga River?
It's over a 40-foot drop from tee to green, and then it's probably about 210 to the start of the fairway.
Anybody that's familiar with some William Flynn other designs looks at this hole and says, I've seen this someplace before, like maybe Manufacturers or Huntington Valley for 2 courses almost right next to each other in Montgomery County in the Philly area. Does that show up a lot on this golf course? Did Flynn have certain tendencies the way he laid out holes?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I think Flynn is most known that he utilized the land that was right in front of him, and you know, was a very north to south type designer. And you know, for us here, that's the biggest test for our membership for everyday play is there's 14 uphill second shots.
Wow.
So it adds a lot of link to what that number on the scorecard actually is. And you know, the place is going to play a little longer in 2024 than it did in 15. So I think outside of the changes to the property that's happened since 15, that's going to be the biggest surprise to the women when they're here.
Do you have a particular favorite hole? I know you don't like to be quoted saying, "Oh, this is the
They're all my
signature
favorite.
hole." And
Yeah,
like,
they're all
"Oh,
my
You
favorite."
sound like all those other guys. Come on, maybe like just whisper in my ear. Well, forget everybody. Turn your sound down. I'm only kidding.
Well, I think there's a collection of great holes here. I think since I've set foot on property specifically, I would say number 2 is kind of creeping up to be my favorite, just for the transformation that I've seen since I've gotten here.
What about how is it like transformed since you got here?
Just combination of tree removal. We kind of identified the old greenside bunker from the original number 2 green that Flynn put in, and we utilized that in the bunker project to create a fairway bunker and a split fairway with 2 and 9. You can now see the clubhouse. We've created this open infinity view off the back of the green with tree removal. So aesthetically, I think 2 is probably my favorite. If you had to combine playability and aesthetics, I would say 14. To me, I think 14 is a very underrated par 4 here. It's going to be very interesting to see the comparison in 15 to 24 and how it plays for the field. Because of the changes, we put more bunkers in the inside to protect the dog leg. For me personally, as a player, it's the toughest driving hole on the
14.
golf course. Because it's also our narrowest landing zone. And now you have all this beach around you, right? And to an uphill second shot with a severely sloped green from back to front. It's, to me, that's the biggest test. So aesthetically 2, playability 14.
Josh, you gave us a lot of material for a guy that said, every hole's your favorite hole. We appreciate that. If William Flynn were standing here with us right now, what do you think his reaction would be as he takes a look at Lancaster Country Club 2024?
Oh, wow.
Would he recognize it?
I think he would. I think he would know the bones. I think anyone that, puts the love and the sweat and, the heart into designing something, he would totally recognize it. I think he would be impressed, but ultimately I think I can speak for a lot of us in saying that I would also think that he'd be happy that we protected it. That was our big mindset at the committee level and working with Nagel, is to really protect the integrity of what William Flynn's design was.
He left you guys quite a legacy to play around with, and
It's an unbelievable
from the looks
piece of
of
property.
things, you're doing a great job.
Thanks,
Josh,
sir.
sleep tight, okay? Especially as we get into the latter stages of May when you're out there taking soil temperatures at 3 a.m., right?
You got it.
Josh Saunders, he's the man when it comes to the grounds as Lancaster Country Club prepares for a second time to host the U.S. Women's Open late May, early June at this fantastic golf club. We'll be back, wrap things up from Lancaster, but first, after the break, we're going to hear from our teed-off panel right here on Inside Golf. Our teed-off panel is brought to you by Lulu Country Club. Welcome back. Inside Golf now continues. We're on the back deck, our usual spot for our teed-off panel here at Lulu Country Club in Upper Dublin. We have with us today the head pro at Chester Valley, Sam Ambrose, a newcomer to the show, at least in terms of being on camera. He's helped us before behind the scenes. His name is Ryan McDonald. He's a member at Lanark. When we had the match, remember that a couple of years ago out at Lanark, 2 pros, 2 amateurs? He was the guy that put it all together. He put together a great high school tournament last year.
But thank you. That's very
One
sweet.
of them?
One of, yeah.
Okay,
I get in trouble.
Yeah, there's a lot of people at Lanark right now saying, well, what about what he called?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay. And, of course, Marty Embino needs no introduction. He's Director of Operations Communications with the Golf Association of Philadelphia.
Good to see you in person, Harry, finally.
Right, absolutely, always. Guys, over the last few years, we've heard a lot about growing the game of golf from organizations like the USGA, PGA of America, and Augusta National. And Sam, I'm going to put the question to you first. Of those 3 organizations that I mentioned, who has done the most, and I hate to put you on the spot, in growing the game?
Yeah, Harry, I think I'm going to be probably pretty biased on this, being a proud PGA member. The PGA of America, we've got 30,000 PGA members on the ground at greengrass facilities like Lulu here, like Chester Valley where I'm at, trying to grow the game every day. So I would say we are strong in that every day in our association, but we've also have a lot of programs that we've created to help grow the game, whether it's PGA Junior League, which is Little League for golf. You know, we've got 2,000 kids in just in our section, 60,000 kids nationwide in that program. So we're very proud of those alliances we have, whether it's with the USGA, whether it's with Augusta National, including the drive, chip, and putt that Augusta has been so lucky for everybody to host and have those kids. You know, we've got 900 kids in our Philly Junior Tour that we run each summer, over 100 events through the summer. So I'd say impacting those kids through the game of golf has been a huge way to grow the game from the PGA standpoint.
Ryan, from Lancaster Country Club, as I mentioned, you were involved in staging a nice event involving both pros and amateurs a couple of years ago. We had it here on Inside Golf. That kind of grew the game. At least it did for all those 400,
that is
400 members at Lancaster. It added to the beer and other concession sales in Lancaster that day. But, you know, as an amateur golfer, you know, you have no horse in the race, so to speak. What's your feeling on that?
Well, I'm like, these two are the experts, so yes, amateur is a very nice way to put it for me. But if you were to tell me 30 years ago that Augusta would be doing the drive, chip, and putt and the women's amateur, I would have just like rolled my eyes and said you're crazy. But I'm like, they've done a lot, so I got to tip my cap to Augusta in that regard.
Right. Marty?
Yeah, well, I think most importantly that everybody's attempting to grow the game and to have an influence on the game, a positive influence. You know, for us at GAP, you know, the USGA has done an extraordinary amount on a day-to-day basis. You know, they're the ones who monitor their handicap system, modify the system, give you a system that every member can post a score. So across the board, members can play an equitable match or have fun. The USGA has done a lot in the adaptive golf space, creating a championship a few years ago, and GAP has followed that lead. We'll have our own GAP Adaptive Championship this year. Mike Wan has taken over. He's increased the purse structure for the Women's Open, which obviously is increased exposure for the women's game and increasing that leg of that. And they've also done a lot behind the scenes with like water resiliency, you know, funding programs so that golf courses can spend less money on water, become, you know, more environmentally friendly. So I think each group has their kind of niche market and they do all great things. But, you know, for me and for GAP, you know, the USGA has done yeoman's work.
Yeah, I'm going to have a little say here in terms of Augusta, what they have done, and I have no means any connection to Augusta National, but you know, it started I think with Billy Payne. He kind of opened up the whole thing. I go back to the days, I don't know, it's 20 years ago when they had women protesting out on Washington Avenue about the lack of female membership. And, you know, they were taking some slugs back in those days. Now, they have come like 180 in terms, not just on the membership situation, but also what they've done internationally, inviting to the Masters, South American, Latin American Tour winners, champions, same thing in the Pacific Rim. And what they've done, I think, with the women's amateur thing that they have there every year now before the tournament, the drive, chip, and putt, which that is a collaboration with both the USGA and the PGA, I think has really changed the image, but realistically done a lot for the growth of the game thanks to Augusta. So, and I think it was Billy Payne and now Fred Ridley doing the same thing. But all three of those groups deserve a little tip of the hat here from us in our own little humble way to say what they've done for golf. Gentlemen, thank you, and we'll be back more of Inside Golf in just a moment. Monco All Access is brought to you by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board.
As we head into spring and summer, say goodbye to these chilly temperatures and hello to some warmer ones, a great public golf course to try out is Ravensclaw, a unique and fun spot that's hosted everything from families to professional women's tournaments.
Ravensclaw is a great place. It was built in 2005, so it has all the newer amenities, better drainage, interesting layouts, and all the holes are different. The conditions here are very, very nice. We've worked on speeding the greens up. We've redone most of all the bunkers around the greens. The turf is very nice. We're bent grass, which is a higher level of grass than ryegrass, which you even see ryegrass at some of the private clubs. Symetra Tour was a huge thing, and the girls loved the golf course. I mean, it was very nice, and they could play. We have youth on the golf course that the Golf Association of Philadelphia runs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so youth can come play for $5 a round, so it's a pretty outstanding situation. Public golf is where most people start. I mean, it's very expensive to start out at a private club, so having the option to be here is really nice. It's a fun place to play. Come on out and give it a try.
For more on other public golf courses, check out valleyforge.org, and we will see you next time on Monco All Access, when we'll be featuring other public golf courses. For the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board, I'm Rachel Riley.
Parking is free!
Hey! $4! Yes!
With so many affordable things to do in Montgomery County, PA, go ahead, freak out.
For over 2 decades, First Tee has created experiences that build character. We believe every kid deserves to feel supported, safe to try something new, and to be prepared for what comes next. We develop their swing, but more importantly, their inner strength. Because we know what's inside doesn't just count, it changes the game. Come join us at First Tee.
That's going to do it for this week's edition of Inside Golf. Hope that you enjoyed our visit to the Lancaster Country Club, getting ready for this year's U.S. Women's Open. The venue set a record attendance when it hosted the Women's Open 9 years ago, and they're hoping to set a new record this year. You know, Lancaster Country Club may have been the best of the early designs of William Flynn. As described in a Golf Club Atlas article, with the Conestoga River and its tributaries, the elevation changes of 30 feet or more, and fertile soil, William Flynn was given one of his best palettes with which to work. And now, looking back, almost 100 years later, it's clear he certainly made the most of the opportunity. And if you'd like more information about the upcoming U.S. Women's Open, go to their website for ticket information, everything related to the Women's Open. It's at uswomensopen.com. I'm Harry Donahue. Thanks for joining us today at Lancaster Country Club. We'll see you next week here on Inside Golf. The 27th season of Inside Golf is presented by Destination Monco Golf, the First Tee of Greater Philadelphia, the Philadelphia Association of Golf Course Superintendents, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, GAP, Jersey Man and Philly Man Magazine, and Inside Golf's partner since 1998, the Philadelphia section of the PGA.